Hi, this is Jen. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making Greek moussaka. So if you like this sort of content, please like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Okay, what you're going to need is 1 yellow onion, at least 2 eggplants, preferably 3, and 3 potatoes. So you just want to go ahead and cut the tops like that. And then you're going to want to cut them lengthwise. And you're going to want to do like pretty thin slices. And then I'm going to put these aside in a bowl here. Now we have the eggplant cut. So I'm going to put a little bit of salt on top. We're going to cut them lengthwise. This one was a really big one, so I'm going to cut it this way. Just how we did the eggplant. You want to make sure that you have a pretty good consistency for the potatoes, because we're going to go ahead and fry them. And this one I could totally do the same thing, cut it in half. Alright, now what I'm going to do is get a pot, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of oil in the pot, because we're going to end up frying the potatoes and the eggplant. Okay, now while my oil is heating up, I went ahead and turned on my oven to 350 degrees. So then by the time we're ready to put it in the oven, it's going to be hot. So go ahead and start your oven to 350 And then I'm just waiting for this oil to come up to temp. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and fry the potatoes. We're only going to put a few in at a time. I'm going to put in about 7. Now you need to watch these, so I would just go ahead and make this your first step, because if you're doing anything else, you want to keep an eye on the potatoes. And you'll see that they're a little bit brown on each side, so just shake off the excess oil, and then you're going to want to just put them on a plate here. I just go ahead and put in about 7 or 8 at a time. Once the oil gets cooking, it's about like 4 or 5 minutes. You'll see the potatoes like kind of float to the top, and they'll be a little bit brown. You don't want to cook them too much because, like I said, we're going to put them in the oven. Now we're going to go ahead and fry the eggplant. I'm going to turn our oil down just a little bit. And I only put a couple in at a time because it like he still has a little bit of moisture, and I didn't want to like make it bubble too much. So I turn my oil down to about level 2. Alright, now we're going to cut the onion down for the meat mixture. So you need a large onion. And then we're just going to go ahead and chop the onion. Alright, now for the meat mixture. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil in a frying pan. And then we're going to go ahead and put our onion in here. And then we're going to fry the onion a little bit. Alexa, set a timer for 3 minutes. So you're just going to want to let the onion fry for about 2 or 3 minutes. Alright, the onions are still frying, so we're just going to wait till they get a little bit softened. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and put our meat in here. And you just want to break up the meat and incorporate it with the onion. And then you just want to go ahead and cook the meat until you don't see any pink in it. And then I'm going to go ahead and add, you want to add about 2 or 3 garlic cloves. I just used the garlic that was pre-cut. I bought some at Aldi's, so I just used that. And then about a teaspoon of salt. And then about a half a teaspoon of the black pepper. And just let that cook until it gets brown. Alright, it's coming along pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and put in a teaspoon of thyme. And let that cook in. And then we're going to put in about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And you just want to make sure you mix that around. You don't want any of your meat to be pink. You're going to put in your tomato paste. You want about 2 tablespoons or so. It's about 3. And then you want to go ahead and mix that into your meat. It's kind of sticky, so you want to kind of just work with it. And you can kind of see if it gets everything. I might need a little more, but we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and use the whole can. I'm going to turn my flame down to about a 3.5 on my stove. And you just want to make sure you got the tomato paste pretty much incorporated into the meat. Alright. That looks pretty good. So now we're going to put in a little bit of tomato sauce, probably about a half a can. And then we're going to use about a cup of beef broth. And we're just going to go ahead and pour that in. Okay, and then next, the last thing we need to do is add our bay leaf. I'm just going to put one in here. Sneak that down in there. And so then we're going to put it on simmer. So I have it to about a 3. And we're going to just leave this simmer for about 20 minutes. Alright, next we're going to make the bechamel sauce. So you're going to need about a stick of butter. I don't have a stick of butter, so I'm going to kind of eyeball it. Oops. Alright, we're going to put the butter in the pan. And then you're going to need a whisk. So grab yourself a whisk and 4 cups of milk. And you want to leave the milk out for a minute so that it's like room temperature. And so what we're going to do right now is go ahead and turn the stove on. Probably like to a 4. And then we're just going to go ahead and let this butter melt down. I still have my meat mixture cooking, so you can do this alongside of that. But you got to really keep an eye on when you're doing the bechamel. You have to stir consistently, so you really need to pay attention. So we're just going to go ahead and melt this butter down. And then I have some flour here. I'm just going to put about a cup of flour. and get it ready. Okay. So you're gonna want a big pan and then just about a stick of butter or so in there. So mine's just melting down right now. All right, and now we're gonna put in our flour. This is a cup of flour. And we're just gonna go ahead and stir that into the butter. You're gonna notice that it kind of clumps up, almost like when you're doing like a gravy. And you're gonna want it kind of like that. Alright, next we're gonna go ahead and pour in some milk. You only want a very little bit at a time. And then you want to constantly stir it. This is so that you can get the clumps out of it. And you'll see it'll thicken up almost to like a paste. And when it does that, just go ahead and put in a little bit more milk. And just incorporate the milk. It's going to thicken the sauce up and remove those clumps. Now you don't want to leave it because then it's not going to turn out right. So you want to constantly be stirring it. And you'll see as it gets thicker. We're going to let that heat up for a second, and I'm going to put a little bit of nutmeg in here. Probably about like a half a teaspoon. Now this is a little thin, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more flour. I put in about a half a cup, and you'll know the consistency because you can kind of like tell. Alexa, turn off the timer. And I'm just doing a little bit at a time because I want to see how much I need with the thickness. So it's about a cup and a half of flour that I put in here. Alright. I'm going to add a little bit more nutmeg. Okay, and it should be done here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a layer of meat sauce at the bottom, just really finely. Just so we have a little bit of a bottom layer. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and assemble it. So we're going to put in our potatoes. And we're just going to put them in the pan and cover the bottom of the pan with the potatoes. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just, so that you cover the bottom. You use a dish like this, about 3 large potatoes is what I use, so that's about as much as you're gonna pretty much need. that every inch covered. So now we're going to go ahead and put the meat mixture on top. We're going to put a little of the sauce mixture into the meat. So we're going to pour a little bit of this in here and stir it around. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put the meat on. I'm just going to dump it in the middle and then kind of just spread it. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put on our eggplant. And we're going to put these on top. It looks like I probably could have used a third eggplant, but I didn't have it on hand, but that's okay. So just use what you have, but if you want to do this, I would get 3. Okay, so now we have the eggplant on. We salted the eggplant from before. I don't want to put too much salt because it's not going to taste right. So then we're going to just go ahead and, let me see, I might have to get an oven mitt. Hold on. We're just going to go ahead and pour the bechamel sauce over the top. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, but just so that you can get a good coating on the top. I'm just going to put everything in the center. Okay. Then you're just going to want to spread it over the top. Make sure just everything is coated. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on the top of this. Well, it looks like I don't have any Parmesan left, so I'm gonna put a little bit of mozzarella on top. Now, I've seen it to where people put breadcrumbs. You could probably put a little bit of breadcrumbs on top too to make it brown. But I'm gonna go ahead and add this cheese. I got about, I say like a half a cup of the mozzarella left. This is what I had in my fridge, so I'm just using it. Alright, it looks like I have some breadcrumbs, so we're gonna, these are the Italian style breadcrumbs. I'm gonna put them on top. And this is going to give it like a little crust. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put it in the oven for 50 minutes. Alright, here's the finished product. I took out the moussaka from the oven. So I'm just going to let it sit for about maybe 10 minutes and then I'll go ahead and plate it up. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut this and plate this up. Alright, there you have it. Alright guys, here's the finished product. So it looks pretty delicious. So it took about 50 minutes in the oven, but as you can see, everything looks really good. So I'm ready to eat. So if you guys like this sort of content, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.